Playoffs, baby. That's right. Playoffs. We got playoff action. The regular season is done. Welcome back. Another edition of Putting for Dough. That's Ben Rasa. I'm Eytan Shander at JazzRaz DFS for Ben, at Shander Show for me. Thumbs up, subscribe. We want you a part of this ever-growing golf community here. You're home for golf across the entire Odd Shopper network. Now, Ben, we said goodbye to the regular season. A little bit more drama on Sunday than we've had in recent weeks, including a major. And now we're dialed in the FedEx, where this right now TPC Southwind is the spot. So we'll look back a little bit, see how things have done. Eric Cole continues to be an ATM when it comes to top 40, brother. That's all I got.
Of course. Yeah, it was a fine week, but I'll be honest, it was I started to dare to dream that Eytan was going to do it. That was one of my favorite outrights of the week, and he really gave it everything he had. The weather delay didn't help. Didn't have Glover, didn't have Henley, but Eytan was right there. Billy Ho was a guy I had some interest in as well. So it was close, and I did catch some pieces. The JT situation, Doug Gim at one point had lost 10 strokes putting. 10 strokes putting through 3 rounds, which is almost impossible.
I've done that in 1 round.
Yeah, that's why I would never bet you top 40. No offense. I love you dearly, but I wouldn't put you on the card.
Well, if I'm getting strokes, you should bet. I'm a dangerous player in match play, but not strokes.
If they give Doug Gim some strokes, I will add him back onto the card. But I have it on good authority. They didn't do that last week. Could have used it, but you mentioned it. We got 70 of the best now. It's a sprint to the finish. Different type. I love this. I'm a big fan of this Memphis course. It's just a kind of a cool betting element because there's only 70 guys, but all the big names are here.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that as far as just where we are, right? If you've already jumped in earlier in the week and head to DraftKings, for example, and thought to yourself, well, okay, let me take advantage of these guys' offer. I'm going to get 1,000 plus 1,000 odds on any golfer across the tournament just for signing up below. I mean, think about that. There is no bad bet at that point. Put it at the top, put it on Scotty, put it on Rom, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. So we'll give you the plus 1,000 odds just for signing up below. And you may have mentioned, and as Ben mentioned, you may have realized that, wait a second, there's only like 6 guys that are plus money for top 40. Because as Ben mentioned, the field has been whittled down. So what does that do? Let's look at this twofold, okay? Let's look at Southwind, which I hate to use this phrase, you don't have to be a bomber, because if you can hit the ball long and straight, especially off the tee, there isn't a place where that's a bad thing. But if you're not accurate off the tee, you're screwed. But you also, Ben, have to factor in that you only have a 70-man field and that this is truly the cream of the crop.
No doubt about it. Talk about this all the time over on Stochastic DFS, our PGA shows. You're never, ever, ever, ever punished for distance. It's never a bad thing. But there are courses that it's not as big of asset. And I would say this is one of those courses. You are not punished if you're not a bomber. You can compete just fine. You need to be precise with those irons. And you need to kind of know what you're doing on fast Bermuda. That's definitely something that will benefit you this week. And we've seen all types of players thrive here. I think one of the interesting wrinkles is when you look at course history, this tournament has been a lot of different things. It wasn't always the first stage of the FedEx Cup playoffs. And with that brings different field strengths, different results. And that is something to keep in mind as we break down this field.
It's a great point about Bermuda. There is somewhat, if you wanted to look at region, maybe Florida as a closer spot minus the wind. We'll see how hot it is. I mean, we're talking about the start of the middle of August in Memphis.
It's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot, and it's going to be brutal at times. Putting, yes. And look, accuracy as well. But look, we also are dealing with the best of the best.
Correct.
Right? I mean, how much you talked about Doug Gim losing 10 strokes. I feel like Scotty Scheffler's probably lost 10 strokes over 3 days and finished third in tournaments, right? So a lot of this stuff is just you're in the playoffs, truly, Ben, and you've got so many big names.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna lie, it's a very difficult evaluation because you just have to accept that if one of the top 5 or 6 brings their A game, they're
Yep.
going to win. It doesn't matter where they're playing. Like when those guys dial it in, they're not going to be beat most likely, or they're going to have a damn good chance. We don't really know who that's going to be, but that doesn't mean, as we kind of, or at least as I dive into the board, that I think you automatically have to go there. Of course, if you're getting, if you're a new user on DraftKings and you're taking advantage of this, I'd really recommend going to the top.
Yeah.
And if I had to pick one guy at the
Rory at
top,
1900.
yeah, it would be Rory for me. Even if you just add the 300 boost, which we'll talk about later in the show. But I find myself in the next kind of level, I'll say, from like the Colin Morikawa, Fleetwood, Hatton range. And Morikawa is a name I kind of want to focus on. He's come down a little bit. Make sure you shop. I saw 28 yesterday. That has come down. I like him, though. He's got the right mindset for this course. He gained across the board here. If his putter cooperates, I know it hasn't been the best for Morikawa. Missed the cut at the Open, but when Ricky won, Morikawa was right there, lost in that playoff. Yeah. It's close for him, and I think that Morikawa makes for a nice play here.
I got him at 25 yesterday, so it started to dip a little bit.
It's coming down.
Just jumped in. It is, and you can see it now at 22. Now, granted, you can still shop. It might still be 25 at another book, but and I referenced this on purpose. I didn't realize you were going to jump right in with Morikawa, which is fantastic. Because no, I'm on the same side, and I think we can talk through something, which is in this particular circumstance, when you do deal with the field, so often you're playing against yourself, you're playing against the course, blah, blah, right? In this case, you really do have to factor in the field. Morikawa is built for a course like this where he can be deadly accurate off the tee. His irons, ball striking is always going to be rewarded. Strokes gained approach, areas like that. If he can put together putting and not be so up and down, I feel like, and we've talked about this before, guys have a certain fit. He should if he's on his game, he should dominate, even in a field that has guys like Scotty, Rahm, Rory. He should be there at the top. His game is catered to this course.
Yeah, I mean, Morikawa has done it. It's not what no one is asking. Can Colin Morikawa beat the best of the best? The guy's got, he's got the elite hardware already in the trophy case. It hasn't been the best 2023. I like the setup quite a bit. I think the number is still playable. And I really didn't have a ton else. I mean, if you want to tell me you want to go to Hovland, if you tell me you want to go to a guy like that, I'm not going to push back. But I might push back on Ricky. Talk to me about Ricky. Go ahead.
I'm gonna focus on two things here for you. All right. I'm gonna focus on distance and accuracy. It's a tough combination to be consistently accurate off the tee, yet you will be rewarded exponentially here if you can balance those two. Look, you've got some bombers, Cam, right? Like, I understand that there are guys that can hit it farther than Ricky, but his ability to be long and accurate, or maybe accurate and a little long off the tee, I think help. And then look, getting to approach shots in any capacity, strokes gained approach, or just being able to rely on putting himself in a good spot off approach shots and limit any type of longer lag type puttings for two. That, I think, is good. Look, you will be burned here. If you miss shots, you can get burned here. This is not an easy penalties. Like, I don't want to make it out to be, the Open or something absurd, but there are penalties on this course, and there are areas, no hit zones, and there are places that you need to stay away from. That's where I think Ricky makes some sense.
I get it. I mean, again, it's the thing that's really tricky about this breakdown is when you look at Ricky. First of all, he's tricky because you've definitely got some bad data. He lost it and now he's found it again. So if you look at historical results, you're just like, oh, last year it was in this. It used to be a WGC at one point here. Then it was something like it's very difficult to get a read on this course, but I get what you're going for there. I honestly thought for the same price, you might actually look to Jason Day instead.
The difference, and I was looking at this on Bermuda, he's gaining strokes on Bermuda, Ricky Fowler, more so than Day. Yeah. So that's going to be a difference maker for me. I know I can he's in this field, top 10 in strokes gained approach, just entering this week. I know that I can get good putting. I should be able to rely on good putting on Bermuda. I just at 30 to 1, I'm going to look at some matchups. I'm going to play Fowler, I think, a couple times over here. Again, it's a lesser version. He doesn't have the ball striking clearly as Morikawa, but I think there are some strong fits here. That's all. That's all. I don't want to drag this whole show down to Ricky Fowler by any means.
Well, okay.
What's next? What's next?
So I'm not going to just talk about dragging the show down. I'm not going to say Hideki. I'm just not going to do that anymore. I say that every week. It hasn't been working out. I see you highlighting.
Is he really a good fit though?
What?
Like, I just want to push back. Is he really that great of a fit for this course?
Who, Hideki?
Compared to the field. Or is it more just the fact that he has been inconsistent in that number? 40 to 1 in this field tells me he's been doing something wrong.
Well,
or maybe just isn't a great fit for this field.
I mean, he lost 6 strokes around the green and another 2.5 strokes putting in 2 rounds last week. That's almost impossible. So that's what he would be doing wrong. If you want to look at splits, he is not a good Bermuda putter. It's still Decky. I know people are like, oh, but Decky can't do this. Decky can't do that. Decky can do anything. He can win shootouts. He can win really difficult courses. There's no doubt. It's more of an opportunity cost. Would you rather have Decky at 40 or Sam Burns at 35 or Sanjay at 50, who I'm going to talk about for sure? If you're building a big card and you want some guys, I'm never going to push back against Hideki, but I acknowledge that clearly the game is not firing on all cylinders right now.
That 35 is interesting. Look, Sam Burns, I wonder how popular he's going to be this week. Great fit here. I also think that, and maybe it's just a matter of, well, if I could get fill in the blank at 35, Matt Fitzpatrick has clearly had a bunch of top 6s, right? At least over the last couple of years here. But what about, I mean, if Max Homa has really turned this, do you have any interest, before we move to Sungjae, any interest on Max Homa, knowing that Burns and Fitzpatrick at least have course fit in history at that same number?
I mean, again, still a damn good player. I get it, but you can only play so many. If I had to pick a guy at 35 to 1, it would not be Max Homa. It would be Fitzpatrick. And if I had to pick a second guy, it would actually be your boy Sam Burns. So just lightning on Bermuda. Yeah. I get it. So it's not to knock Homa. You just can't have everybody. And we know that every player in this field, particularly at the top, has serious game.
All right, let's get to it. 50 to 1. I tell you, I'm going another guy at that same number, and I'm not going to take your guy. I can't believe I'm doing this, but we've got 2 guys here at 50 to 1. Take it away.
I mean, Sungjae to me, another guy that clearly hasn't dialed in it. You know, a lot of people thought time to win a major, time to do some serious business. That has not happened this year. But he was 14th last week at Wyndham. He plays every week, which normally I'd be concerned about, but it's Sungjae. He doesn't care. His wins on tour, Honda, Shriners, Bermuda, shorter tracks, technical, like there is a theme here with Sungjae. When he's at his best, it's this type of layout. And I just look at his game. The number to me is pretty generous, even though he hasn't had a great 2023. 50 to 1 in a 70-man field for Sungjae Im on a short technical, not short, but not a bomber's paradise Bermuda track, I think is a very nice play.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm not going to push back on anything there. You know me, we both have a soft spot for Sungjae and just how 5-tool, if you will, to steal a phrase from another sport, he can be and well-rounded. There's just, I feel like we've had these conversations before, and it's just like miscut or make the cut and just be like, what the hell? But you're right. Maybe that's just a reflection now of value at 50 to 1, which is hard to pass up. I'll go the other side of this, right? I'm just going to ride a hand here who comes into this event with familiarity, losing in the playoff last year, and Ben Rasa, a pretty hot July, nearly taking the Open.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think Sepp falls. Look, if it's a course that he struggles, if it's history that isn't there, if it's greens, if it's just a course fit that isn't there, I feel like at that point you may be trying to force a round peg into a square hole. But Sepp has had positive experience here right down to the playoff last year. He's playing great golf. Why ignore that at 50 to 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a question of, are you paying for that a little bit? But Straka has proven in a field even of this caliber, he can compete. He just won the Deer. He did, I will say, and it doesn't mean he can't do it again. He gained 6 strokes putting last year at this event, really carried him to that runner-up finish. But Sepp Straka is a player that I think, not we, it's a me, that I have to acknowledge belongs where he kind of is priced. He always seems out of place to me, but he's kind of proven he's got that game. So I'm
Yep.
still going to go with Sanjay. You're not going to convince me of that, but
Fair,
uh-oh.
fair.
What are you hovering over Thigala? What are you doing to me?
I'm not. It's just
Okay.
my. It's the fact that I can't keep my hands still. That's all. I should
Okay, no,
keep my
that's fair. I
hands
was
up.
gonna say, I don't know if I can do that.
All right. So there are two. Like we have to system bet these, right? You have to bet Griot. And let me just get this one out of the way because my God, if this guy finds a way to freaking win this, I'll throw myself off the roof if I don't put a little
Eric
sprinkle.
Cole.
Right. So these are the two system bets, right? Like you're gonna have to put something on, or because Griot won, are you done with the system bet?
So is that, yeah, I mean, if they made an exemption to let Bez into this tournament, because he didn't qualify, I probably would have to bet him. I got paid off very nicely on Griot this year. I think you could do that. You want a life hedge with Eric Cole? I'm gonna give you one more life hedge. What about Jaeger? Now he's come down, and I would not bet him. I want to be clear. I would not bet
That's
him at
75.
75 to 1. There's
Right.
a 90 to 1 out there still, and I think that that's fine over on FanDuel. This guy, do I think his breakthrough comes in a playoff event? Probably not, but he's playing good enough golf to at least get a look. If the putter is fixed and he's gained in 3 of 4, everyone for a while has said he is missing a putting performance and
Yep.
he's going to break through. And he is doing that now. Now, I don't think he can beat this type of field, but at 90 to 1, I think you could look to him if you want a YOLO top 20, top 10, top 5 wheel type play.
I saw a stat that had Jaeger, and I actually marked this down here. Now you've got a couple of other guys, right? Vincent Norman is in this group, Alex Smalley in this group. But look, these guys are playing golf and they're in this field. But Jaeger is one of 10 guys, one of the top 10 guys overall strokes gained tee to green over their last 12 rounds. Now, look, I don't know how arbitrary of a number 12 is, right, coming into this. But if you look at a shorter sample size amongst the field of guys, and some are taking off, some are not playing all the time. I understand that. So you still go back as far as rounds played. This is not a bad play. I think you can work Jaeger in clearly a top 20 scenario at 75 to 1. All right. Is that really it right now? I'm not going to force anything down here.
No, don't. I mean, again, these are still good golfers. There's no doubt. I think you just want to ask yourself why. Like the answer really needs to be because you know, like with any bet, that you found a number that you think is just mispriced. I didn't see that a ton. I think you're on the right track on it right here. Go to the top 30 market. Go to the top 40 market with the Cam Davises of the world, with the Jaegers of the world. These guys, I think it's a stretch for them to win, and it is not even remotely a stretch for them to get on the first page of the board.
I love that. Cole top 30. Shout out to the Discord. My guy John Shelton just keeping a tab on these each and every week. All right. So that is the card itself, right? There's one quick thing. I always love these. Whenever you see it, I'm interested. By the way, last week they had winner without. Not any of the guys listed in the winner without were even in the final contention. So this is just McIlroy and Scheffler. I'm not interested in John Rahm beating a field without McIlroy and Scheffler at 750. Are you?
No, not really. These markets, I get it. I get what it is. It is kind of cool to say, okay, I'm eliminating some of the win equity up top, but you really need to make sure that you're not getting like if you say, oh, I want to bet Morikawa really badly, and he's 22 to 1, and then winner without he's 20 to 1. Okay, that's something I think I might be able to get on board with because you're only losing a couple. But if your number's getting slashed really bad, I would worry a little bit about that. And I would just say, you
That's
know
actually
what?
not a bad play, to be honest
That's what
with
I
you.
mean. You see what I'm saying? Like that's not the
Yeah.
worst. You're
No.
you're taking out two big names and you're only dropping 200 on that line from 22 to 20. I think that's a more prudent move than really saying, okay, this guy was 35, now he's 22. That's you don't want to mess around with stuff like that.
All right. we're going to end here. On our way out, we'll remind you that DraftKings, we already told you, if you're new to DraftKings, we'll get you in. You can add 1,000 odds, plus 1,000 odds to any golfer you want across the board. We told you, well, Ben did, and I just said, Rory McIlroy is a strong play there. If you're already on DraftKings, like, come on, what the hell, guys? Don't worry. You can add plus 300 odds to any golfer you want. It's a weekly boost, and we're here to tell you the best strategy and, of course, who to put it on. So, Ben, as we look at the big board here, what's the strategy for you each week when you can add something like plus 300?
Yeah, it's something that, again, if you like someone towards the bottom of the field, a long shot, that's great. That's awesome. I don't think you should apply it to a boost like this, though. You're not going to maximize it. This is where you can say, I want to get someone with serious win equity. Rory to 12 to 1. You can't find 12 to 1 on Rory anywhere. Scheffler at 950, 9.5 to 1. You are really increasing the odds that are available there with your plus 300. I would not bet these guys without that boost. But if you're saying, you know what, I'm going to build out my card. And then, before people say, I can only bet $5, I can only bet $10 on this boost. Okay, well, if Rory wins, you get an extra $120. I could use an extra $120, even no matter what else I bet. Why not? That's just a good bet long term. So just use it as a bankroll boost. If you happen to hit it, and you'll be better for it in the long run.
For the record, Ben's on Rory. I'm on Scotty. If I get Scotty at plus 950 and he hits half of his putts, this is a runaway.
You'll be fine.
We appreciate you all, as always, at JazzRaz DFS, at Shander Show. For me, join the Discord. That's below. A lot of great sweats going on each and every week, and live stuff happening, matchups, round leaders, all of that. So we want you a part of that. That's below. Ben, I'm out. Anything left? It's all you.
No, just again, appreciate you guys. I know golf, it really never ends. So we will have plenty of content here. And you guys know about our family here at Odd Shopper. If you're looking for more sports, you'll see plenty of us and everyone over there. But we'll talk to you guys in Discord. Get in there, take advantage of these deals, and let's have a week at the FedEx St. Jude.
Go Jacksonville State.
No, nope.